So I think you don't need further introduction. The vibe and the reality, how he is very close to what is real and what can be done, what we should do, how we should do. All of this is what the person is here today. So we had a good introduction from Akash, but I wanted to say a few things. How many of you like lollipops? He is more closely related to lollipops. Can you take a guess how? Do you think he eats more lollipops? No. It's not that. Looks like yeah. But for TB, which he was talking about, the biggest problem, one of the things that he's working on. So there is this device that they're coming up with, which is a lollipop. So instead of going through the coughing stage, the pricking stage, all of this, you simply have to use this device, which is a lollipop. You can just Google lollipop and you will get his name of the device and everything. So this is how I first started to know him, and from there, from doing biomedical in NUS to developing such innovative devices which are of much need and much impact. Then now into AI, as a co-founder of Bipolar Factory, they are doing tremendous in educating youngsters like you guys, setting up training institutes in colleges. So in your colleges as well, you can get their support and get AI trained and all of the tools that are available, all how you can utilize it and how you can build your platforms. All these things, apart from this being unleashed UN Ambassador, can we give a big round of applause for that? So thank you so much, Vivek, for agreeing to this, and thank you for gracing us today. Thank you. We can start. Yeah.
Thank you. First things first, I'm going to talk about SDGs, innovation, boring stuff. Okay, which all of you must have gone through in terms of E&I training, innovation training, design thinking training these days. Okay, but for the next 45 minutes, if I can grab your attention, this quote as a start. Okay? It's a very famous Zen quote, which I have realized in my life, and almost every one of you, when you are post 30, you will realize the biggest obstacle to learning something new is the belief that you already know it. Okay, and that is very, very true. Okay, especially for young people who has been through a rigorous lecture and classes, etc. You think that okay, I have read this and this is enough. Okay, but that's where the obstacle lies in learning something new. And with that quote, I wanted to play a brief round about Dunning-Kruger effect, which I see everywhere in the world. In fact, more than Shah Rukh Khan effect, Salman Khan effect, Dunning-Kruger effect is much more prevalent. Okay, I'll simply tell you what Dunning-Kruger effect is. I'm sure all of you can relate to it. Okay, Dunning-Kruger effect is smart people think they are dumb, dumb people think they are smart. Okay, very classic example. Happens everywhere in the entrepreneurship world. Very, 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 very often. Okay, smart entrepreneurs with a lot of information are very, very unsure about themselves, but dumb entrepreneurs with less information are very, very sure about themselves. Okay, and that is in fact a superpower, because entrepreneurship, if you dissect all the innovation part, etc., hard work, etc., which I believe is a minor part, entrepreneurship primarily risk taking and betting. Okay, what are you risking your life and time upon, and how is it going to come out? Okay. And for that, if you really see people in this domain, okay, people who are high on confidence, less on knowledge, are the ones who make it. In fact, there is a very popular research saying that IQ do not determine how rich you are. It's actually the luck and basically where you're born, your family, culture, etc. Okay. I guess you all know the story about Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, right? How Bill Gates' mother was in the IBM board. Okay. Bill Gates, the story goes like that. Bill Gates got this opportunity out of the blue, but no, Bill Gates comes from a very rich family. His mother was in the IBM board, and through his mother, he got his first contract. Okay, and Jeff Bezos' parents invested around 200k USD. Those days for his business. Okay, so the reality is much more different than you think. And my understanding is, if you are someone in this spectrum, be honest to yourself. If you are someone in this spectrum where you have less knowledge and high confidence, it's good. Just that, ensure that you get more knowledge. Okay? Because going forward, yes, Your pins can take a ship to some distance, but after that you need your own engine. Otherwise, you will be lost at the sea and okay, that's what entrepreneurship is. As long as you know your knowledge, it will take you through. But once you stop, you know what happened to Baiju, right? Baiju was sponsoring Indian teams jerseys. And now what happened to Baiju? But Amul, even though was not sponsoring, now Amul is doing very well. So that's the difference between Baiju and Amul. Because of the friends doing business. Okay. Now, going to the next part. Innovation. Okay, everyone has talked about innovation. And yes, you all know about innovation. Okay, I just wanted to give you a slightly more practical perspective of innovation, how to come up with innovative ideas and how to come up with an innovation mindset. Okay? Innovation is simply about doing change. Okay? If you want to innovate something, simply change the current. Okay? If it's a chair, innovate to a stool. If it's a stool, innovate to a chair. Okay, that's innovation. Okay? And that comes from long experience, walks, random shower ideas, and many ways innovation happens, which I will not go through. Even though some people claim that it will happen in a lab or in class, sitting and things like that, it does not happen like that. Okay? So innovation is something which you want to know about it. And one more thing I want to clearly tell you is that colleges, even though they are called as prone to innovation, colleges in India, the whole hierarchy is not yet prone to innovation. Okay? That means if you are proposing something innovative, be ready to be depressed, frustrated, irritated. Okay? It is a reality. Anywhere, even in IIT or ChatGPT office, innovation, you will be frustrated, lonely, and irritated. And that is the characteristic of an innovator. If you are frustrated, lonely, and irritated, you are an innovator. Okay? And if you watch Kim Kardashian with that combination, you are not an innovator. Okay? You are just frustrated, lonely, and depressed. So, I wanted to give you two simple examples of invention and innovation. I will not go through, of course, you can read this. I shared this deck with you, both you can go through it. We all know wheel. Yes, humans invented wheel right from class 1 or class 2. We have been studying about wheel, etc. But what if I tell you this invention didn't have much impact in the world than this one which you see, washing hands. Washing hands before a surgery or in a hospital has saved more lives, and in fact than anyone else could think. Okay? Previously, we didn't have something called the germ theory. Louis Pasteur was the one who kind of discovered it. We didn't know that there were germs. We thought they were the only insects are the smallest thing. But only then people found there was microbes, bacteria. They started washing their hands before surgery. In fact, in those days, the likelihood of you dying in a hospital is more than you dying at home. Okay, because hospitals you get infected of the germs, and you must have heard about hospital infection. Okay, so a simple thing of washing hands really saved lives. And during COVID, we all know what happened. A simple innovation of putting a hand sanitizer before an office saved a lot of lives. Okay, that is an innovation. Okay, and I know my friends who came up with advanced laser technology to sanitize hands, advanced technology to dry it, etc. That's invention. Simply, innovation is something that is low cost, solves the problem, okay, without changing much. Invention is something if you really want to do and change things, you change things. Okay. That's one very good example which I'm sure almost of you would have kind of heard about it. Have you heard about the classic Russian-American space pencil story? Okay, so I'll tell you the story, maybe that's very short. So Russians, Americans have a problem. In space, when they launch the cosmonaut or astronaut, they have to go and write something there. And ink does not flow without gravity. Okay? So Americans have this laser pen with laser engraving, etc., whereas they can write for $1 million. And Russians simply use pencil. So that's the story might not be true or not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how pencil would work in the space, but this gives you a whole context about innovation. And that is what is happening today with a lot of young students. Okay, I go to a lot of final year project presentation. Everyone has advanced Arduino, Bluetooth, and Zigbee, and others to what? Put a fan on your head. Say it's a cooling helmet with Arduino and other things, or an app which can do this, that, etc. Invention is good, but innovation is simply looking at it and saying, wait, do you really need a helmet on your head, or you can simply remove your helmet and add something else? So that's something which you have to clearly understand. Okay, another example which I love to share also gives you a perspective of how innovation can be done. Okay, We know Neil Armstrong, right? This one, landed on the moon 1969. Okay, I'll tell you an interesting story. Okay, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon 1969, but only we kind of invented wheels on the suitcase. Remember the suitcase which we wrote? Only was in 1972. So, in that perspective, we put man on the moon first and then invented wheels on the suitcase. This wheels on the suitcase, everyone thinks is a simple innovation. Okay? But do you know that it disrupted a complete industry? Back when I was a young person, railway station, everyone has a lot of porters. Porters are people who kind of carry your luggage once you get on a train because you didn't have wheels. But now you hardly find one or two porters. Imagine a whole industry was laid off just because someone had wheels on the suitcase. Okay, that is innovation. Putting man on the moon, very important, very, very interesting invention, but wheels on the suitcase innovation. Ask yourself this question. Okay, are you the one who want to put man or woman on the moon, or are you the one who want to put wheels on the suitcase? Okay, that is a perspective which you want to take to solving any problem. Okay, and most likely as young people, you always want to put man on the moon because of the publicity, your story, Shark Tank, and influence. Okay, but someone who has been through that, yes, I also went through that phase. To me, putting wheels on the suitcase is much more interesting than man on the moon. The whole idea is how do we exchange our insights so that you get inventive and innovative at the same time. That's what I leave it up to you guys, completely up to you guys. Okay. The usual blah blah about innovators. I know. I go on giving you examples because I want you to set the context. How many of you remember this lady? Just answer. Do you remember this lady? Okay, what? Okay, she was called the next Steve Jobs. Age 19, Stanford dropout. Okay, started a company called Theranos. If you look, she kind of wears a turtleneck like Steve Jobs. A lot of people are now wearing that to imitate Steve Jobs. And she was called the next Steve Jobs, Fortune, everyone called it. Her thing was, I can take 2 drops of it and I can detect a lot of diseases. A lot. He had a company called Theranos. Therapy and diagnostics. Theranos. Yes, I know Theranos is something. Okay, it's called Theranos. But I was a young PhD student when this company was launched. I was doing biomedical engineering, serious biology in Singapore. Every one of us know this is bullshit. Every one of us scientists in the panel, the academic of chemical scientists, biomedical know this is impossible, this is bullshit. But none of her voices were heard and she raised a lot of money and then now she is in prison for doping investments. Okay, this is what is happening in India. Okay, and one example recently is Baiju. Baiju was celebrated to be this star startup, it's going to transform and everything, and then luckily yesterday Baiju was like not acquitted of 2 things, but I'm still in trouble. So this is what is happening these days, okay? Because this hype is what we are running after in the entrepreneurship world. Really, if you ask smart people, nerdy people, are now falling for hype because they think that is cool. And it is frustrating and only to be a smart person and not get recognized. Yes, I completely understand. I have been there, done that. Okay? But the problem is, just look at the people who are getting recognized. It's always the hype and the fall. Okay? So it is better, because the further you go, the harder the fall is. Okay? So it's better you be a lonely, depressed, frustrated nerd, working on things and climb up things slowly, other than that hype and then you will fall down completely. Alright? Yes. Anyone remember who is this? Edison. Yes. What did he invent? I'll tell you the real story. Yes. No, not Nikola Tesla also. It's completely different. Okay. The real story goes like this. Edison did not invent the light bulb. Light bulb was already there. Because it was so big. It was huge. If you really read Edison's biography or documentary about the light bulb, you understand it was already so huge. And it used to only last for 12 hours. Okay. Edison, okay, what he did was, Edison went to venture capitalists, like what we do, started a startup saying, I'll invent a light bulb. It was started in those days, okay. And then he raised money from investors, saying that I'll invent a light bulb. And he was unable to invent a light bulb. He had a team of 33 engineers who were working for him to invent a light bulb. None of them were able to invent a light bulb. Okay. and his investors were asking questions, and he was very, very frustrated. Okay? So what he did was, he tried out 10,000 materials. 10,000 materials to see which one lasts long. It's like spray and pray. Luckily, one thing worked, was bamboo. Bamboo and charcoal worked. And then he presented it as the light bulb to the world. And the light bulb only lasted for 3 days. And it works on DC, not AC, which is another story, AC-DC bulb might come later. The current light bulb design, I mean, even the old ones, is not anywhere related to India design. It's completely different, so inefficient and everything. Okay, but the reality of the story is something different. Everyone was seeing Edison as this innovator, as a light bulb movement, etc., etc. Everyone become a metaphor, right? But can anyone tell me which company did Edison co-found? Which is not very popular. Edison founded a company in those days, still very popular. GE, General Electric. General Electric, GE was co-founded by Edison. Edison was one of the co-founders of GE. Okay, GE used Edison as a branding. Edison was an inventor, not less. Okay, but Edison was an inventor who can sell himself. So GE used Edison as a branding to promote the Edison brand. And what they were promoting was the GE brand. There's a very popular thing in economics which none of you would come across because they think it's complicated. It's called narrative economics. Like behavioral economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, narrative economics. Narrative economics determines what kind of story you tell decides the stock prices. If you look very, very closely at what Sam Altman, Elon Musk and others, their tweets determine the stock prices. Have you ever come across facts where, like a keynote address and after a keynote address the stocks increase or decrease? Okay. So the reality is that narrative economics is kind of attached to us. Okay, not overtly but subtly. So a lot of things that these companies and CEOs do, yes, technology is involved and iPhone, etc. But these are all narrative economics. So one good thing I want to ask you young people is take it with a pinch of salt. Okay? So one thing you can do is whenever you hear about this narration about Edison bomb or Sam Altman, it's very good, very interesting. You should know about it. But take it with a pinch of salt. All might be a simple hype cycle which you come into. And another important thing is let your news sources be diverse. Okay? I'm talking about Reuters, BBC, Wired, etc. Not the MSN or NDTV and others. Okay? Let your news sources be diverse. Okay? And let's really know about global news and tech news. What's happening and where, so that you all understand what reality is. Okay? Now let's come to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which we all love to talk about. Okay? Just for very curious, how many of you are working on quality education? Anyone solving education problems?
You can raise your hands, guys.
Okay, you're working on education, right? Because education is something which everyone likes to work on, because it's always a problem. Okay, now number 3, good health and well-being. Anyone working in hardware for good health and well-being? Good. Okay, now coming to life below water, 14. Life below water, very good, very good. It is a very momentous time we are in because recently you should have heard the news, we farmed more fish than we fished fish. So technically now we are farming more fish than we fish from the oceans or the Okay, good. 15, anyone? Peace, justice, and strong organizations. Wow, nice. Too well done. Okay, now I want to talk to you about. I told you about narrative economics, right? So before talking about it is the same thinking. I want to show you this graph. Okay, this graph is called the classic Gartner hype cycle. Okay? This graph is more predictive than your astrology charts. Every technology follows this graph. Okay? And more predictive than the classic supply-demand graph. Okay. What this graph says is that over time, any technology has a lot of expectation and then it comes. There's always a trigger, okay, and then the expectation go up, and then we can come down. I'll tell you one simple example. Vision Pro, now Vision Pro is now being So like it was previously hyped and if you really understand Google Class, I said do you ever do Google Class? Okay, even GPT. Actually, you guys don't remember when I was your age, there's something called Clippy. Microsoft Office used to have an AI assistant called Clippy. It's just a paper clip. It didn't work well, but it started off there. AI happened there. And by the way, how many of you know Bayesian theorem? Have you heard about Bayesian theorem? Bayesian? But all AI is fundamentally based on Bayesian. Whole AI is mathematics, probability, temperature, K factor. Plus, GPT, Gemini AI, Claude, LLMs are interesting language. Okay? But as young people, I want your language to be mathematics, K value, P value. Okay? If you're talking AI in terms of LLMs, Claude, Gemini, API, that is a language you use to fool yourself. And I like this famous quote by Richard Feynman. You know Richard Feynman, right? That's the Nobel laureate. The easiest person to fool in the entire universe is yourself. Okay, and that's what we are doing by using terms like ChatGPT, AI, API, integration, etc. Talk in terms of mathematics, K value, temperature. That's how a good AI company would work. Okay, anyway. So it goes through trough of disillusionment and then it standardizes. And now this is what happening. Okay, and okay, this is a very recent curve on all the technologies which is now being propagated as the next big thing. Okay. I know many of you will be working on these technologies. Okay, say GitOps, AI simulation, etc., cloud generator. Okay. One example which went and fell down is the Bitcoin and crypto world. Crypto and Bitcoin went, and now it's falling down very massively. So, what is the lesson here I wanted to tell you guys is that we are in the middle of a hype cycle, guys. Okay? AI, whatever, right, is somewhere in this hype cycle, which might fall down to you. But that doesn't mean that it's going to stay down. It will eventually bounce up. You will go through the phase. Okay? So what I'm telling you is, before starting on your innovative new idea, okay, remember two simple things which I wanted to tell you as a former entrepreneur. An entrepreneur to other upcoming entrepreneurs. Number one, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Okay? We all hope for the best here in this cycle. Everything goes well, we are happy, you raise money, but we don't plan for the worst. So hope for the best, plan for the worst. Okay? Second thing important you want to remember is please under-promise and over-deliver. Don't over-promise and under-deliver. I've seen this happening among a lot of entrepreneurs, youngsters especially, over-promising the world, and then under-delivering. But the better way you could learn is under-promise and then over-deliver. Then your perception will increase. And I wanted to also leave this graph with one small quote. Everyone knows Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson? It's a very popular quote by Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Okay? That is reality. Everyone has a plan until your product hits the market. I'll tell you my example why. Everyone has a plan. My product is going to do this business plan, pitch deck, design thinking, mentors, etc. etc. I went to hackathons and I won so many prizes. Very proud. But once they get punched in the face of the market, that's where the reality shows up. So two lessons is, if someone is showing up, don't worry, the market will punch them in the face and they'll understand reality. Number two is, you get prepared to be punched in the face. At least the punch will be less. So now, how are this cycle going to be useful to you as design thinkers or whatever? Okay? What you are starting off is here as a concept. Okay? And then I'll tell you what typically happens in a university. You have a concept, or a professor comes with a concept, there's a lot of press release, patent, etc. Patent is relatively easy. It's not that tough. So you get a patent and then there's huge like college press covers, will be get displayed in the stage about an idea innovation. But what happens is only when you start testing in the market. And things go even down when you do user feedback testing. Okay? And user feedback testing, trust me, it's like astrology of horoscope. It's completely subject to total nonsense. You never believe why a good product is not working out and why a bad product is working out. It's like a Salman Khan movie. Why you don't know? You know the movie shit, but still it makes money. So that's how the whole market works. Okay? And that's how it's very, very interesting for you to understand. And the next comes finalized. So that's where reality strikes in. That's where all the Manjumal boys and KGF will come and say, okay, enough of stupid content, let's do some good content and eventually you'll make. But this is what you'll be actually going through. So if you're ready for the up, the curve, be ready for the down curve. At least you'll place yourself when you fall, at least you'll roll so that you don't get yourself well. Again, this happens to me. I'll tell you my example. Okay. One more thing before I proceed the example. How many of you are active? Just be very honest with me. Okay? I'm not judging you. I'm actually judging folks here. How many of you are actively using AI as a tool with your projects or projects? Be very open. How many of you are actively using it? Okay, very good. Because that's something you should do. Because efficiency and AI are really helpful. But I want you to remember this term, okay, which I admired. Fool with a tool is still a fool. AI is a tool. AI is going to create a lot of imposters. By using AI, you're going to call yourself an imposter, okay, and that's going to even make you. Okay. Simply, two suggestions I give my interns is use AI as a tool to correct what you've written, not write. Okay. And then if you have written using AI, declare it. I can say written using Gemini AI or ChatGPT. Do not use AI as a Google. Google and search inside different, AI is different. AI is just a text generation tool which helps you analyze and summarize text. You can use it once you connect your research, collect enough text, and then you use it to analyze the text. But do not use it to generate text and so on. Google hallucinates a lot. If you have ever experienced hallucinating by GPT, you'll understand. So it's not accurate. Alright. Okay, now let me talk about my enterprise. So I am a scientist primarily. I did my bachelor's, master's and PhD in biomedical engineering. Bachelor's from India, master's and PhD from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Then I worked at National University of Singapore as a postdoc research in biomedical engineering. And there, one good thing with Singapore is they encourage you to come up with your own startup. And SDG is a startup which I ran in Singapore. And then I came to India and I kind of replicated called 2-2-1 biomedical. So now SDG in Singapore, 2-2-1 biomedical is in India. I'm a great Sherlock Holmes fan. So that's why 2-2-1 biomedical is reference to Sherlock Holmes. Okay. And we got funded by National University. We are National University of Singapore startup. Right? National University of Singapore has taken my company. And we are funded by Tata Trust and other VCs, Antler and Unleash. Okay. I'll tell you what problem we were solving. Can anyone relate to this? Go ahead, okay. So what I did was, instead of you going through a painful nasal swab, okay, what if you can take a lollipop for testing COVID? So my invention, my innovation, I would say, was to get a simple lollipop where you can chew. And then once you take the lollipop for regular COVID testing, you will know whether you're COVID positive. And this became tuberculosis, cancer, HIV, etc. Yes. So I invented the lollipop. Of course, like a typical nerd entrepreneur, I wanted attention. So this is Tata Trust funding by of course, chewing gum and lollipop are same. It's the same mechanism, but different names. So Tata funded my project and Indonesia, Singapore, Hindu Business Line covered my idea. India Today, India Times, everyone loved the story that who goes to the painful lollipop, no personal song, just do a lollipop. And then what I did was, being a good scientist, I did my clinical trial. So I did my clinical trial, okay, and I looked at all the competing products, okay, and they were claiming 100%, 99% accuracy. But I wanted to be a very, because I'm a scientist, so I wanted it to be a very natural clinical trial. So I kind of registered the FDA and we hired an external agency to run a clinical trial. And then we realized was our sensitivity was around 92%, not 100%, 99% claimed by other companies. And then I was very surprised, how come it is so low? And when I kind of consulted with a lot of experts, everyone said that 80% is industry standard. So it's even better than industry because everyone fakes. Everyone is taking their results. It's called cherry picking. Have you heard about cherry picking? You get a data of 100 results and you will see 80 of them next to your 90%. Forget the 20. And just show the 80%. And that was happening in the market. Okay, and when I went with this idea, the whole thing happened. So me getting press coverage, me getting India Today, into all the experts, Tata trust funding me, I met under Tata, everyone, and then when legal trade happened, we are okay. Now we are slow. So now we are trying to ensure that our fall is smooth, and we are now doing more clinical trials, more technology, working with real business people, not with just influencers or all the TikTok influencers, real medical doctors to sell this product. And that's what I realized. Expectation come up, but once you start testing and enter the market, it really goes down. Okay? That's what will happen to all of you. Okay? Even if this cycle might be taller or shorter, but it will definitely happen to you. Okay? If it doesn't happen to you, it's a miracle. But there are also exceptions for this, but there's nothing will happen to you. Okay? And one very good example which I always like to share with my mentee startups is Tata Nano. Tata Nano, do you guys remember Tata Nano? Was purported to be the cheapest car. Okay? And it's also a very good car, but why didn't it take off?
Cheap.
Cheaper, yes. Cheap. So that's a very good thing. Any product, even if it's a good product, sometimes people don't like it because of the vibe and ambience. Tata Nano was not a bad car. Very, very good car. But since they call it cheap, they didn't realize that Indians buy it for social status. Indians car is a social status rather than mode of transportation. Okay, so what are we doing now? So now, like Jessica said, we are now working on the first lollipop idea, first proof of concept price. You can see a simple lollipop, and then now we are doing some children's like tradition problem and other. Specifically, we now diversify into AI and also. So basically, I realized that yes, focus is an important thing and very important, but sometimes diversify just to ensure that at least you can reach end up important. Okay, now before I get into technology and others, any questions on this? Count down. Yes, you can avoid that. We have a jet engine you can fly. No, it's very hard to avoid that. Because I'll tell you why. People who avoided this graph, okay, what happened was they had a trampoline. Have you heard about a safety net in a trampoline? Okay, rich kids, okay, when they lose the business, they have a trampoline to bounce back. Okay, when we lose, my father's not that rich, so when we lose, we have a safety net to hold us. At least some papa that there something. Okay? So from the safety net, we have to climb back again and then. But for rich kids, this trampoline just bounce. So some people have done that. So either they deny this happening, or they just want to portray themselves as like what people do on Instagram, all the happy things. Like no, I didn't fail. It was minor things, but I managed. That's what the story narrative is. Has anyone here done business before? Or come from a business family? Like started from scratch.
Any business family background?
So what do you think about this graph?
This is a perfect graph to become an entrepreneur.
What's your business name? Alright. Traditional business sometimes might not work in this graph, but all new age business and deep tech works with this graph. Definitely. Okay, any questions before I proceed for the year?
How do you basically deal with risks in your life? Because whenever you start some business or for entrepreneurship, you always need to have this in your mind that before you start something, you are obviously risking something, or you might even not be sure that whatever money you are putting inside, will it even come back to you? Will it be higher? You might be doomed at last. So how do you deal with it basically?
Personally, Policy Bazaar. Put some term insurance, life insurance, health insurance, and I have a wife who works at MNC. So that's a personal factor. So then at least your family doesn't go hungry. So that's a personal risk. Professional risk, okay, I'll tell you what my professor said. While I was doing my PhD, and then I was telling my professor that I wanted to work for some time and start a business. He asked this question. I said, Vivek, you know that we have something called a PhD, which is a trampoline equivalent. even if you try different business and you fail, you still can get a job as a professor, a lecturer anywhere in the world. And why are you afraid? So what is the worst thing that can happen to you is failing in business. If you fail in business, what will happen to you? I have a PhD, so you can go back to work. That was very pragmatic way he put me, and that's why I'm taking a lot of risk. And then one way to diversify risk, I do is I take a lot of risks. I'm betting on my company, betting on AI company, but of course, purpose is something which we have to discuss, but that's how I do it. Personally.
Good morning, sir. Why do you think the want for entrepreneurship is needed in India? And let's say that you are innovating an incredible idea. Are you really concerned about the people who are going to lose their jobs because of this?
Okay, that's a very good question. I'll answer your first question first. Entrepreneurship in India, to me, I'll give you a pragmatic answer. Jobs, very practically. Government cannot create jobs. We need jobs for the youth. That's why we are promoting entrepreneurship. For that, there are more jobs created. And if you read economics in a classic way, macroeconomics, okay. By the way, my minor is in behavioral economics and education. One good thing with Singapore University is you can do a major and a minor. My minor is behavioral economics. So, any country like US, Japan went from an agricultural economy to a manufacturing economy to a service economy. That means your grandfather would be a farmer, your dad would be working in a factory, you would be working in an IT company. That's how transition is. But in India, what happened is, thanks to Manoharan Singh, we skipped the first part. We went from agricultural economy to knowledge economy. Okay, so we went from farm to IT company without doing the factory part. And it's creating a lot of inequalities. Lot. Okay? And the problem is, this service economy can only give jobs to smart people like this. Who understand English, who can code, who can do this, okay. But the manufacturing jobs, who are going to take it? Okay. So that is what happened in this economy. So in order to fill this gap, by promoting more entrepreneurship, this gap can be filled. That's a practical answer. When you look at any IAS, if you study for UPSC, right, this is the essay answer which they give you for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, let's say you are innovating an incredible idea. Are you really concerned about the people who are going to lose their job because of your idea?
Okay, see, that's something which you cannot predict. Very hard. Okay, I'll tell you a very good example of that, which we always use. When ATMs. Previously, I guess you guys don't remember, we used to go to bank and as a cashier, we used to fill up the challan and get cash. And nowadays, you guys, I think UPI don't even use cash. You use ATM and cash. When ATMs came, was a huge hullabaloo that all these tellers. In fact, 40% of bank employees are cashiers. They rotate. All of them is going to lose jobs. 40% of bank is going to end up everything, but it didn't happen. Actually, what happened was, in fact, because of ATMs came, these people were able to focus on interesting jobs and they were able to disperse more loans. That's why a lot of loans are now coming into ease because they're not worried about cashiers. ATMs are doing the cashier job and they are worrying about loans and so on. So you cannot really predict. Even AI is something, yes, it is very scary because my wife works in Essential and I've heard AI is really taking up their jobs. AI is really scary. But you simply can't predict. So one way to do it is be on the cutting edge, learn new things, be ready to fail, be ready to relearn. Like what should the first time? The biggest obstacle to learning something new is belief that you already know it. So do not have that belief. Always be anxious that someone's going to take your job. At least you get training and
Yeah, thank you.
I'll tell you my personal story. So basically this question is about two parts. One is about how middle class or first generation entrepreneurs can come up really big and what kind of attracts you or entrepreneur attracts you to entrepreneurship. My second question was about how to make it work with commitment or responsibility, etc. So see, I'll tell you what inspired me. My dad was a salaried employee as well as an engineer. So what inspired me was when I went to Singapore and I was getting exposed to the professor and I was learning behavioral economics. So one interesting theory was that, of course, very simple. Economics is simple. Okay, was that if you are getting a better job than your father, you'll be rich and your living standards will improve, but you'll never be better. So the whole concept that stayed in my mind is, if I want to drive a better car than my father, live in a bigger house than my thing, or if my son wants to study in Singapore or wherever, I want to take a job and be there. But if I want to go even higher, say drive a top Porsche car, fly around. I have to be wealthy. And that wealthy, no one has become wealthy by doing job. The only way you can become wealthy is doing business. So that is what inspired me to go and be wealthy.